some Texas football today, talking pass rush. Is this the best pass rush we've seen at Texas? Are we going to be the best pass rush in the country this year out of all these teams? Tap in, talking ball today. Appreciate everybody coming into the chat. You guys know what to do when you come into this chat. Take an attendance. Hit that like button for me. Our goal is to get to 15,000 subscribers by August 30th. Texas versus Ohio State. We are a Longhorn bled channel. We're a Texas bled channel. We're burnt orange bled channel. So, anybody that wants to come through, including the haters that want to support your boy, tap in, subscribe. We really appreciate it. But today, which is why I have Colin Simmons on the thumbnail, who I expect to be one of the best overall football players in the country this next season. Anthony Hill, I expect to be one of the best overall football players in the country next season. Look, I give flowers where flowers are due. I love football. I love these prospects, these kids, and I've been saying, I've been very, very, complimentary of Ohio State and saying Caleb Downs and Jeremiah Smith are, two of the top three players in the country. Well, Anthony Hill and Colin Simmons are right there. Those guys, at least on the defensive side of the ball, before we get to any of the new additions, before we get to some of the core veterans like a Trey Moore or Ethan Burke, guys that are tried, true, and tested, guys that have been playoff starters for us, just off of what I'm getting. I mean, ESPN put out the list of the top pass rushers in the country, and Texas had two people on that list. In Colin Simmons, who finished second, only behind Dylan Stewart, and Anthony Hill got votes. And he's playing in the second level for us because of his explosiveness and rushing the passer when he gets those opportunities, right? I mean, that's going to be the cool element of what we will see this season with PK. And how he uses all these pieces, especially what we've been hearing about the hybridization of Trey Moore, which kind of started a little bit at the end of last year, but how he's utilized, how some of the younger guys start to come along, especially if you get any type of good health out of Colton Vasek, right? How he always compliments his Bash brother Ethan Burke so well. Then you got guys like Zena coming along, right? That we have a lot of optimism for in their development. The picture that went viral this week of one Justice Grown Man Terry, whether he's in the edge room or the defensive tackle room, it doesn't even matter to me. The brother's going to be on the field in some sort of package. So when you start adding people like that, for those that didn't see the photo, go look up the photo of Justice Terry if you don't know. So this is good stuff. So what's up, everybody? I see some people filling into the chat. Already talking ball. Hook 'em, Ashley. What's going on? Hook 'em, hook 'em, hook 'em. D money can't get money. All the usuals here. My friends and family. Amin's here. We got Drew in here. Yes, Houston Sunday best. Justice Terry looked like he looked like you saw the, I don't know if anybody saw the picture of Abdul Carter at Giants camp standing next to Cam Scattaboo, and it looked like two completely different levels of football. Both of them were in their pads. Again, Justice Terry was just in shorts and sneakers, but like the kid looked gigantic. I mean, it was crazy. Lance Jackson, another. I mean, there's so many names in terms of guys who are going to be coming after your favorite quarterback, whoever's watching this video that's not a Texas fan, whoever your quarterback is on our schedule, God bless you. Shout out to Lance Jackson. I mean, the rotation that Texas is fixing to have is going to be scary when you think about two different things. Number one, just keeping people fresh. Even Colin Simmons, right? Like, you want to make sure people are in the game when they need to be in the game on the key downs, on the money downs, and situational ball, all that. But there's nobody they're going to need to be able to have to run into the ground because we won't be able to function if this one particular player is not on the football field. We've had seasons like that before, even defensively, where if so-and-so isn't in the game, the other team's going to go up tempo so we can't even sub them back in, that type of stuff. All right. We had some of those problems. That's how Tech got over on us back in I think it was the Tom Herman era, when we couldn't sub in Osai and people like that, and then they just went crazy tempo. So, like, we're now in the days where, fine, we got this guy and this guy in, no problem. But the second thing, first thing is fresh legs, but the second thing is matchups. However you want to play us, we got the personnel to adjust, and we have guys that can play, especially across the defensive line, that can play multiple positions, right? And be effective. I think the key, like we got to last year, and I talked about this during the season, was Kenny Baker figuring out who plays best to one another. This is also something I've talked about. Bo Davis was pretty good at this as well. But hey, sometimes I need Vernon Broughton in there with T Sweat, and I need Murphy in there with Alfred Collins type stuff, right? Like, to get some of those guys may complement each other pretty well. Now, eventually, those players got so good that they were pretty much interchangeable. They could play next to each other, but you know what I mean. Sometimes you want to have your preferred one tech in there. Last year, sometimes you want to have Broughton next to Bill Norton, right? And how those guys work together would be beneficial based upon whatever attack we're facing. But let's say we're playing a team that wants to run a lot of outside zone in the run game. Like, I'm not here to talk run game stuff today, but the cool thing is you have a lot of pieces to do a lot of really cool things with. But when it gets to passing downs or third down, good luck. This is not even me talking shit. This is just the reality of the roster. Good luck. When it gets to third down, good luck. I hope you can block it up. And you're not going to be able to double everybody. You're not going to, I mean, I'm curious to see what teams are going to do, starting with Ohio State as we get into this rotation, because even guys like Alex January can push the pocket, right? Travis Shaw, all the interior guys we have, Murat Watson. Like, it's going to be really interesting how we force teams, let's say, I mean, and it could get, to me, this is where Texas can really accelerate and ascend into being not just one of the best teams in the country, but being one of the most intimidating teams in the country. Walk with me for a second. If we expect to make the strides we want to make offensively, especially with Arch, we should be back to getting up and having scoring on our opening scripts again, touchdowns, taking command of the game offensively. So if you start getting up in these games 10-0, 14-0, and you start really allowing this pass rush to play with a lead, which should be the goal, it's scary hours, is it not? Isn't that what the Colts used to do with Peyton Manning? Run it up real quick and then let Mathis and Dwight Freeney go and hunt the rest of the damn game and just sit in a shell after they got up, they just jumped everybody. Like, because that's where the complementary football element comes into play. And this is not cool. I'm literally trying to conceptualize this in my head of if this team can play up to their potential. and offense is doing their thing, man, because that's going to give them more opportunities for sacks. And when I say the best pass rush in the country, it doesn't necessarily mean we have the most sacks. It's just havoc, disruption, and just flat out like you can't. There's no stat for. I mean, there is if you go to Pro Football Focus, but pressures and whatnot. But when you think of the raw numbers, that doesn't account for a quarterback got intimidated and he threw the ball out of bounds early and didn't even complete his progression because we were harassing the guy, right? Like I expect to see a ton of like things of that sort, right? We know what we always want to have the deflected passes, tip passes, disruption at the line of scrimmage, making them throw the ball underneath so we can use our speed and fly in pursuit, right? There's no stat for somebody just checking it down because they can't even hang for the deeper, more extended stuff. I'm excited. These are the parts of the team we because we talk a lot about the areas of concern, right? Talk about the offensive line, we talk about the unproven receivers, but this is the area of the team where it could be legitimate scary hours. Like this overall Texas pass rush, and that's without us even blitzing. That's just. I mean, because if the teams, some of these teams, you may want to even, they'll save some package. I mean, we weren't blitz. We haven't really been that blitz heavy under under PK like that. A lot of the heaters we send are situational or big games, playing against a very good quarterback trying to throw off timing. That's when you'll see more of PK's stuff, right? But he really does try to hold off on his heaters and tries to keep things, they've been more, to me, emphasizing coverage. This is very important too, why the secondary still needs to be on point. Jay over here trying to troll. What's up, Jay? We're gonna be hunting for your boy, Mr. Mateer, in October, Jay. We coming for y'all. Our future said, I keep telling these haters about Texas. We ain't even close to the ceiling. All those NIL players are older and hungry, more talented on paper than the teams we've had lately. Travis, yeah, the young guys on the edge, that's going to be. I mean, look how we were able to really allow Colin Simmons to come along throughout the season. Like, we didn't have to rely on him, where it's like, hey, now as the season went on, it was he commanded the snaps, he commanded the attention, he commanded those things. But we had, I mean, look, Barrett Sorrell got drafted in the 4th round. Like we had a crew. Ethan Burke's back for his 3rd year as a starter, right? Colin Vasek played a little bit. Like we had, it's not like we were destitute. Anthony Hill had returned with 5.5 sacks the year before, but he commanded that. Trey Moore, that was so good that Trey Moore started playing a different position half the time. I'm excited too for Colin, because he has so many good teammates next to him. I do think he's going to have a lot of opportunities to reach some of the very ambitious, lofty goals that he has set for himself. Do I think some teams are going to see the name on the jersey with him and start cheating and sending guys over and saying, hey, I'm going to try to make the others beat me? I think we may see that. I don't know if that's the right move. Because if you give all those other people we mentioned one-on-ones, or they're not, let's say we're moving Colin Simmons around, which I expect because we did it last year. What happens when Anthony Hill is coming? What happens when Spence is coming? Spence is a great blitzer. What happens when we do send heaters? I mean, we saw this a little bit in the Ohio State game in the Cotton Bowl, y'all. I mean, I know we lost, but we were getting some heat. And not everybody's gonna have the personnel Ohio State had. Not even close. I think our interior defensive line is not only going to eat up the middle, but they're going to command some stuff on their own. That's where we get special. I want to get to Jordan Ness since he got a super chat in here. Donations. Donations. Jordan S. What's good, Steven? It's crazy that after the journey we've been on with this team, we're going into a new season, and I'm not worried about the defense or the offense. What is this strange place? What is this strange place? Man, this is what it's like to be. How old are you, Jordan? Just out of curiosity. Because this is what it felt like being a Texas fan in the 2000s. From 2000 to 2009, this is what it felt like to be a Texas fan. Not every single year. I'm talking about like the there were some years where we knew, like, I would say Colts like sophomore where we definitely had questions or a lot of people had graduated. But I even remember the confidence I felt with the '06 team coming back because of how many people had returned, even though Vince Young was gone. I remember the confidence I felt coming off of Vince's like from '04 to '05. Like we lost one game in '04. And we had okay, so you're older than me. So you know what's up, man. That I feel like and Jordan S, let me know. That's how I feel. Let me know. Do you think we've even ascended that place? Now, we won a natty in that period. We won a natty in that period. But I remember when we would get like the number one, whatever. Sergio Kindle's a great example. I remember where like we got him on top of everybody else that was already on the squad. It was just like craziness. So I feel like that's what the thing is, we have been absent of that feeling for so long in terms of year over year consistency and being able to talk like this and be excited like this, that it does feel like it's almost been foreign or forgotten overall. So I totally see where you're coming from. I totally see where you're coming from. Well, we're 97 days away from kickoff. Jay, thank you, sir. Shout out to the Google Share folder you put together. Thank you, brother. God bless you. God bless you. He said, "Did you help him with it?" I don't have technical skills to make overlays. He does. So there. Oh boy. No, I appreciate you. Let me get to Amens here. Thank you for the donation, sir. Donation. Amin, what's up, man? Thank you for this. What do you see as the NASCAR in-game package for the pass rush? Simmonsburg, Vosick, Trey, man. Um, I think one of those tackles is going to be in there too, though. Maybe Burke, because remember Burke played a little three technique last year at times, so I could see something like this. Vasic is the question though, in terms of just how much football can we get out of him when he's able to play? How much football can we get out of Colton Vasic? Because if not, then you're gonna, that could be where a guy like a Lance Jackson starts to come into play, or Justice Terry. Right. How much? I mean, it's at this point, it's a question. But I think Burke, to your point, will be one of the guys on the inside in those particular packages, right? Let's say it's 3rd and 11, 3rd and 12. We know we're about to hunt. We got Ant behind there. We don't kind of, is he coming? Is he not? Are we bringing four? Are we bringing five? Right. We typically bring if we bring the six is probably the nickel. So we'll see how they manipulate that. But I think the majority of the time it'll probably look like this if Colton Vasek is healthy. If not, I could see Lance Jackson or Justice Terry sliding in there. But the cool thing is that they'll be able to develop and come along, especially after the Ohio State game. They're going to go San Jose State, Sam Houston, UTEP. That's going to be a lot of opportunities for guys to get some pass rush snaps, especially if you're big on those teams. A lot of opportunities because that I like the way the schedule is in that sense because essentially Q2 of the schedule before you start the Florida game, you would have played at least one major opponent, obviously, but then you have three tune-up games to figure out the ideal rotate, like where people are going to be fighting like hell for snaps, so that they can make sure they can guarantee their spot in the rotation when we go to Gainesville. We gonna know, right? Because if you in the game, let's say against UTEP, and you ain't getting no heat, and then somebody else comes in and gets heat, bro, you might be behind the 8 ball when we go to Gainesville because who are they gonna put in the game? Who are they gonna have in the rotation? So we want to see multiple people getting heat against some of those teams like that, where we don't want to be having conversations and be like, damn, so and so played 20 snaps. I don't even did he even record a stat? Now, again, we gotta look at the film. If so and so is also taking up two blockers and allowing a teammate to go get, making a play for another guy, things like that need to matter in context. But y'all know what I mean. You can tell when somebody's in the game and they disruptive. It didn't take long to notice that with Colin Simmons. You noticed it in the Michigan game, right? It didn't take long. It didn't take long with Anthony Hill. You saw it in the Alabama game the year before, right? It's like, okay. He's moving differently than everybody else on the field. That guy is made the quarterback just completely do a U-turn out of the pocket. That's the type of disruption we're looking to see. So if Lance Jackson or, talking about Zena, I've heard good things about Zena making some strides, all things considered. Thank you for this other super chat, Jordan S. I appreciate you, my friend. The O-line will be fine despite losing 4 starters with DJ Campbell, Cole Hudson next to each other. I feel sorry for anyone who gets that double team. Those guys are monsters up there in the offensive line for sure. And they have experience. Cole Hudson is playing a new position for him in games, but he's played a lot of football. Remember, he started a whole year. So the experience between him and DJ, spot on, Jordan. They played a lot of football together. A lot of football together between those two. And then obviously we were able to already get. I talked about we got proof of concept with Arch on Friday's show. Well, we also got proof of concept with Trevor Gooseby. Right? We got proof of concept with Trevor Gooseby as well. So now it's just seeing how good those guys can be and them continuing to develop. But we got proof of concept that they can play. We ain't worried. We know they can play. I've heard some good things about Zena. I agree. That's how good, Jordan, that's how good Gooseby was. That's how good he was. Trey Moore is going to play both essentially, post backer and DN. The question is, somebody even brought up Spence sacking Quinn. Spence is a whole nother, aspect to this in the pass rush. I'm gonna look up his see if I can pull his numbers from last year, because I'm excited about that. That's one thing about not having a spring game, is also seeing the transfers that were really good. You've only seen Spence really what, in an Arkansas uniform, so not seeing him. I'm laughing at the comment. I'm sorry. Thank you again for this super chat, Jordan. I really appreciate it. But I mean, it, that's another demon that you got right next to your boys in the linebacker room in Brad Spence. Like, all those guys can hunt. All those guys can hunt. So it's just going to be, what's that rotation look like? And just, and also depth for health. That's the third thing too, right? Like, guys are going to go down. It's the reality of the situation. There's no way you're going to go through a season. We've already talked about Colton Vasek and his health. There's no way you're going to go through a whole football season and all 22 guys, right? The whole two deep is just, we've had some really good years with some really great injury luck, I would say, on the lines, right? On the lines. But for the most part, you're going to go, but the thing is, even if a couple guys are banged up or miss some time in conference play, on the interior, I don't remember us being as sound depth wise on both the edges and the interior that I felt this good about. And I remember coming into the spring, guys, I was concerned about the interior, and they went out and cleaned that. They went above and beyond, clean, getting people in the interior defensive line room. They went above and beyond. That surpassed what I was not expecting. Like, if you had told me we were going to have Travis Shaw and Levon Johnson, and then get Watson from Syracuse, who's coached by my man Fran Brown, after we had already gotten Hero Canoe and Cole Brevard, that's a lot of people like that can play. That's a lot. I was already, and God bless y'all that were like, Steve, you tripping? Don't worry, y'all right. Y'all got it. Y'all got it. Now I haven't even talked about the prep guys, right? Justice Terry, Melvin Hills, Alex January. Those are like the prep recruits, the people that are homegrown that we brought in. I'm just talking about the people that we went out and got from the portal. Is insane. That's when I was like, yeah, they really are trying to win a national championship right now. I know about the questions with Arch and all that type of stuff, but there's a reason why people, for the most part, are still ranking Texas as highly as they are. It's because of these, with the offensive line questions. It's because you put together a defensive line like that, people are going to really struggle to run and throw. If they click the way that we think that they can, with the depth that they have, they're going to be able to wear some people out over 4 quarters. Even if you're doing a great job for a second, do you have the bodies to keep up with this type of personnel for 4 quarters? God bless. Good luck. And then on top of that, I got the big name talent like Colin and Hill. Proven talent. The thing too is, what if Watson becomes like a real, like Watson's already borderline a stud. What if somebody in that room takes a leap? Like right now, we're and maybe this probably is Kool-Aid talk, but like what if somebody does turn into one of those guys? Like last year we did question, rightfully so, Byron Murphy and Tavondre Sweat are going into the draft. We knew we were adding, you know, Savea and Lole and Bill Norton to the room. But we knew, hey, they're the two people that were backing up Tavondre and Byron Murphy were Vernon Broughton and Alfred Collins. Can they step up? Right? Can they take another step? Well, the light bulb came on for both of them, and hence their hence the success, the accolades, and the draft status that they both had. Just being in the program another year, because I think there's something to what Texas has been doing with the defensive line. So who's to say that somebody doesn't become a stud? How many of y'all had Broughton and Collins both becoming studs simultaneously and parlaying that into to what they ended up getting blessed with after what happened the year before? I mean, this is now we have multiple examples of this across different coaches. Going back to Morrow, when Morrow went to the Eagles, there was a time where Keandre Coburn we were questioning, hey man, is he taking snaps from some of these other guys, blah, blah, and then boom, turned into a draftable NFL player, still in the league. Then the guy behind him, can Tavondre Sweat play more than XYZ amount of snaps? How many snaps can he give us? Boom, he turns into All-American. Best position in college football. So we have been seeing these upticks, these guys that, to Jordan's point, where you're going in by platoon, and they're good, but all of a sudden they become an outstanding football player that's now a draftable NFL player. If that starts to happen with this group, with the edge people you already got, with the backers behind them, come on now. Come on now. There were people, look, his body changed. There's a lot that went into it. We're talking about Justice Terry and his physical profile right now. He's kind of a tweener. What's Justice Terry going to look like in 2027? I don't know. He might look like a completely different person. Like they've done a great job with these guys' bodies. It's like the opposite of what we were doing with the safeties in 2018. Well, forget the safeties, the entire football team in 2018, when we turned them all to super soldiers. It's like they were eating Mondo burgers or something. I don't know. Either everything was off. We don't need to we revisit that on this channel all the time. We don't need to rehash that. But the body transformations that are happening now are literally opposite of what were happening back then. A lot of these players are just a ball of clay, man. A lot of talent, ball of clay. They're going to work hard. They're going to do whatever you tell them to do. But do you know what you're doing? And do you know what direction they need to go and how they fit into the overall puzzle? Because the body transformation that I'm seeing with so many different guys on this roster, I never thought Keandre Coburn was ever going to be able to play so X amount of snaps just off of conditioning, he got there. Sweat, he got there. Collins was a defensive end when he got here, like a basketball player. That dude left looking like Eric Armstead. And now that's why he went to the San Francisco 49ers. And he can play inside, outside. He can play every freaking position on the defensive line. Doesn't matter. Vernon Broughton used to look like a pear. And now he looks like a freaking stone cold tree stump of a defensive tackle that's gonna be in the league for the next 10 years. The body transformation has not we cannot emphasize that enough on this channel, quite frankly. That's why I have faith of what they're doing with Colin Simmons, what we've already seen year 1 to year 2 with Anthony Hill. And these guys already came in with 5-star bodies, so to speak, so you didn't have to do a whole lot. Just make sure that you don't mess it up, right? And just, if you're fast, stay fast, right? But I've just been so impressed overall. I mean, there's so many examples of how good they've been at this, and I think we will see the fruits of it defensively this season. And what I'm hoping is that our offense is good enough to where the defense can go out there and just have fun, and it be legit scary hours. It be legit scary. If the offense is as potent as it can be, because last year, look, let's just keep it spade. Let's keep it a buck. Last year's defense deserved better from that offense. Now they have to hold themselves accountable. They did give up a 75-yard touchdown, the biggest game of the season, right before halftime, and they did give up the touchdown in the overtime in the SEC championship game where they weren't clutch as they should have been, or not the touch, not the like. Even though Makuba almost knocked out Gunnar Stockton. A lot changes if if that boy had fumbled that football when he got hit. But hey, woulda, coulda, shoulda. Most people were fumbling the rock if they got hit by Makuba like that. All right, hopefully, yeah. But hopefully all the good parts of Robert Kimbichi and none of the bad parts that he was out of football after that. But I see the vision of where you're going. Thank you for the super chat. I see where you're going though, Jordan. Yeah, Gunnar Stockton, his eyes rolled to the back of his head. I've never, like, how he held on to the football in that situation, I'll never know. Yeah, 20, and let's not sleep on you know what, I'm gonna leave that one alone for now. I won't even bring that up because I feel like I'm gonna jinx it. I'll leave it alone. But yeah, the 2026 group could be legit. I agree with this. Yeah, because by then Leifau will be the veteran, like be the old head of the room. Anthony Smith, that's another one. If he can just get some of the weight on him, and these are some guys that I want to see. If they can get bigger, I think they could be hella football players for us. Anthony Smith is one of them because instinctively, I feel like he's already there. It's just that he looks like a safety. But if his body can make that transformation, then that would be unbelievable. Because Anthony Smith, that's a guy who I was talking about earlier. If you're one of these younger dudes and you get in some of these games, you start getting some snaps, you got to make me are you jumping off my screen? He was making plays there. I was like, oh, okay, oh, okay, who's that? Is that 26? Who is that guy? Right? Whatever his number was. So we need him to get bigger. The other one is the kid that we just got out of North Crowley, Cunningham. The brother Cunningham, I believe his last name is Cunningham. The one that was like 193 pounds. That brother can play. That brother can play. He's going to be a true freshman. He came from the state champion North Crowley. But that brother Cunningham, if they can get him some grown man weight, that he has some like overshown type abilities. I'll leave it at that. But he can move. That's another one that caught my attention. Yeah, Jake Majors was very good outside zone center, but when we needed to get bully ball in a short, and that's the other thing too, he would be nasty, when he got his hands on you down the field at a distance, was able to move people or relocate. He was different. But I understand where David Keith Williams is coming from. In tight quarters, inside zone, where you immediately need to have a punch, right? And avoid, because if the defensive tackle in that situation gets a stalemate, the defense wins. That's why I grew up learning. Like, you're gonna have to turn that guy, and that was not a strength of his. That's why he wasn't a draft. That's why he didn't get drafted, because he has the brains, experience. I never had really issue with him in pass pro. The other problem with Jake Majors was the snap infractions. Hopefully that has gone away with him. But he had I don't know if it was a tick of his or what, but he just had some like a weird thing with just messing with the ball sometimes. It was weird. Who do you think starts at kicker? Should be that Mason Shipley guy we got from Texas State. That guy was on the Groza watch list. That guy, that seems like he's a very accurate kicker, and potentially has distance up to 60 yards. Sign me up. Think it's going to be Shipley. Sign me up. Stop. Not Arch, not Archmaniac kicker. Y'all funny. By the way, if you're here in the chat and you didn't hear me earlier, hit that like button. Chime in. Appreciate you guys. It was always a lot of fun chopping it up. Hopefully everybody has some having a good time either with family or friends, or just having a little bit of time off on this Memorial Day weekend. Justin Tucker. Oh boy. Y'all gonna break Arch's back with all the stuff y'all trying to put on him. How about this? Let's just let Arch play quarterback. And he can pass. No, yeah, as we open up, kind of just open-ended right now, the run game has to be there next year offensively. No ifs, ands, or buts. No ifs, ands, or buts. Look at the difference it made in your rivalry games. You won your rivalry games really in a I mean, the dare I say, the closest rivalry game we had last year that we had to sweat was Arkansas. But in the OU and A&M games, You ended up getting out of those games essentially completely stress free because you just dominated the line of scrimmage and ran the ball down their throats. Both of them. Both of them. It changes everything. And I'm not saying like there's some teams where you're just not going to be able to be dominant, but you got to be effective. Got to be effective at it, right? Just we can't have less than 2 yards per carry against Ohio State, right? Or 1 yard. What were we? -1 the first half of the first Georgia game rushing. It was something nasty. I've never seen something disgusting, right? I'm just. But in your rivalry games, y'all ran the rock. But against those teams, yeah, you're not like if you play, let's say you play Bama in the SEC championship game, or somebody that's expected to have a really good run defense, or Georgia and Athens. I'm not expecting you to run for 300 yards. That's not my expectation. That's not realistic. But be good in short yardage, effective red zone, and just being able to say, hey, you know what? We're not going to put ourselves in consistent 2nd and 9, 2nd and 12 because we handed the ball off and somebody got tackled 3 yards in the backfield, right? Consistently ending up in those situations against those teams. Yeah, let's even if it's 2nd and 7, cool. If I can get to 2nd and 7, 2nd and 6 consistently against Georgia, and then pop something every now and again to get 10 or 15 yards, that's an effective running game against the great teams. Against the great teams, and you can grind it out. But we haven't even been able to do that, y'all. I was saying the Georgia game, if you can get 3 to 4 yards per carry and just stick with that to where the quarterback doesn't feel like he has the whole weight of the world on his shoulders, because that's the other thing. Those defensive coordinators want that 2nd and 8, 2nd and 9, so they can come with their heater and cause a negative play. That's how they jump you. You avoid all that when you keep people on your own time, your own schedule with the chains. And sometimes if you're able to run the ball effective enough consistently on first down, you won't get to third down when you're throwing the ball well enough and you have that balance. All right. Hey, Jordan. Thank you. Donations. Jordan. Aubrey's a different. I've never seen nobody kick the ball like Aubrey in my life. And I love Justin Tucker. But the way Aubrey kicks the ball is like, I've always compared his kick to like just an effortless golf swing where it's just no stress, just clean, and he can hit the thing a mile. Aubrey is one of one. But if he can be consistent at how good he is, Mason Shipley will be a hero at Texas. It doesn't take much. This is a special team school now. Don't get it twisted. This is a special team school. But Aubrey's leg, like look at his kicking motion. He's not even driving the ball. I've never seen a kicker like him ever. Some of these kickers you start to see, they'll change the trajectory. They have to kick it low because they're driving it. Aubrey's same motion, just golf swing. But I like the enthusiasm, sir. Marcos, this is a really nice comment, man. Thank you. I will, man. Thank you. This means a lot, man. This is why you know why I am looking to be consistent is not just for me selfishly and growing this channel, but um, I do feel a lot of times just talking with you guys is I know how therapeutic it is for other people. And this is not to toot my own horn or anything like that, but we've been around for a while just because we have a lot of common interests, can connect in this human experience and just vibe and have a good time and be a good positive, sometimes necessary distraction, and other times just want to kick it with you with our virtual friends. So I appreciate that, man. Thank you, and hook 'em, brother. Thank you. FT says it feels like we live in third and eight versus the good teams versus the top tier teams. You know what's funny? When I was talking to Brad Kellner opened my mind up to this when we had our show last week. The Michigan game. And I want to go back. I need to go back and really deep, do a deep rewatch. Maybe this summer we'll rewatch some games together. That could be a content idea. We'll just get all together, put the game up, and just walk through it together. But the Michigan game, I talked about, hey, we finished the game. Our rushing yards looked good on paper, but he did bring up the explosives that had happened. And he's kind of right. It was like one of those things where if you look at the Michigan game, we were just really good on second and eight and third and eight. Like we just kept picking them up. But we were still in those situations. Like there was a lot of that game where it was like first and second down, we either didn't execute, it was an incomplete pass, or we had a negative run play. And then we would pick it up. Like we converted a lot of third and difficults. Right? That's where the Quinn hype was potentially at its apex. Right? Because he was so good on obvious passing downs, third and difficult, second and long. We were just picking it up. But yeah, late in the game we got the run game going. But it did seem like we were consistently, in that boat. But and that confidence came because we kept picking it up, and also it's demoralizing to the defense. Mentally, I think mentally for Michigan, it's like, well, damn. Normal defense metrics say if you force people into this situation consistently, they're either getting off the field or eventually they're going to turn the ball over, right? How are they still on the field? How are they still on the field? I'm with you on this. From our lips to the Lord's ears, man. I'm with you on this. Jordan, you need to keep tabs on this one. Sark normally first play of the season, at least with Quinn the last 2 years, it's been a bubble screen, guys. Some variation of bubble. But um hey, the Arch era, who knows? The fastest way to let you know we're in a different era with Arch is that first play call of the season whenever we're on offense just is a completely different play. But for a minute, it's normally been some variation of bubble. Even going back to Casey Thompson and them. Never forget, Xavier Worthy went 80 yards on bubble screen against OU. First offensive play. So we'll see. Sark finally changes it up. I don't remember. I don't know if he's ever had a first play where he's taken a shot. Am I tripping, y'all? I feel like most of them have been bubble screens, or some variation of that. You know what? And if Arch is as good as we think he is, he should be able to carry us in those games. I mean, Quinn did in some cases, a lot of cases, right? So I'm not saying it's the end all be all, but the evolution of change in this program would be, why not have the best of both worlds, right? Now there's going to be some games where somebody just dialed in and they're going to say we're going to take away, you know, the run or whatever, and then boom. But I think if Arch is able to not have to be in that situation a whole lot, if any, man, now you're cooking. Now that's the type of offense that I'm talking about that can help be complementary to your defense. Yeah, I see. I thank you for saying this, David Keith Williams. I don't think people understand. Trey Wisner was a true sophomore last year. He is going to get better. I understand that he may not have the sexiest ceiling like some of the other running backs on the roster that many of you are excited about. I am too. But he is going to take a leap, just like he took a leap as a football player from his freshman year in 2023 to his sophomore year in 2024. I expect him to continue to get better. Now the question is, will we see those same type of leaps under Coach Scott? Coach Choice is now gone, part of the Detroit Lions. Will we still see that same uptick in the room from other players? That's where Coach Scott is gonna have to be a big element to this. But body wise, obviously he's bigger. Um, but we saw uptick with all these guys just with being with Choice year over year. Will we still have that same upkeep with Coach Scott? Going to be interesting, but good comment. Yeah, this is a good idea. We might have to do that for sure. Yeah, Gunnar Helm was yep. I don't expect Baxter to really get going to the end of the year. Now, if he plays early, great. I think he should be on a pitch count no matter what. But I he would be the first person I've seen come back from an ACL that's a skill position player at Texas since Jordan Shipley. Like we just have not had good luck with guys coming back from those injuries, even recently. So, and to me, I don't even see the need to rush Baxter. I'm more worried about making sure that he is beyond healthy, beyond good to go. Although I don't see the need. Like, we're not destitute at that position. I also think Jared Gibson's going to make a big leap, by the way. And if Jared Gibson can catch the ball and have better ball security, we don't need to rush people. We have depth. And I know he's going to want to play. Baxter, that is. I know, but just being mindful of that injury and recover. I mean, he also was a player that was getting consistently banged up his freshman year. FT, what game? I could be wrong. I could be wrong because we're already here in entering year 5 of the Sark era. We are entering year 5 of the Sark era, everybody. It sounds crazy to say that out loud. But can you give me an example of when we have taken a shot on the first offensive snap of the game with Quinn? I feel like I've been tracking this. I don't remember us ever taking a legit shot down. I'm talking about like either we throwing deep posts or some sort of go route. I could be tripping. Please let me know what game that was on the first offensive snap. Because we can go. I mean, we can go back and look, but I don't remember us just coming out, taking a shot. It feels like he's always come out, and if he hasn't run the ball, it's been bubble. It feels 80% of the time his first play has been some sort of bubble screen. But that'd be a little fun exercise to go and investigate. I'm just talking about the first offensive snap. I'm not talking about on the first series or the first drive. I'm saying the first snap of the game. Arch will help the run game in this area for sure. Even the stuff that's not called, he will. We just have to make sure we're not. And I don't have this concern because Sark is the coach and he's very anti quarterback run. But I think he understands the threat and having that enabled within the offense enough to keep the defense honest. We should be fine. We should be fine. The Arizona State game, that was the game where I was like, I was shocked that we couldn't run the football. And I understand, look, that's where when you really get into the X's and O's, obviously people like Ian Boyd are really great at this stuff. When you really get into the football X and O's, that's where you start having a conversation. Go talk to anybody that's ever called a defense, anybody that's ever been a defensive coordinator. That's where you start talking about what they call run fits, right? And really getting into run fits and the numbers and who's assigned where. Because to me, looking back at it, Arizona State sold out with their run fits and where they had numbers against us. And I don't know if that was something we struggled with who was assigned to block who, especially on the perimeter, or if it was something where we could have been checking out of some of those plays and getting into something a little bit more favorable. But I think a lot of people felt like coming into that game, you were just going to lean on Arizona State, especially coming off the success you just had against Clemson running the football. So it was a little. It was interesting to for them to have the struggles that they had to where they ended up in overtime in that game. You end up on a 4th and 13 with your whole season on the line. Like their run fits, they were giving us hell, right? Like we could not run the ball. So I do think Arch helps with that, right? Because oftentimes the quarterback sometimes is or isn't accounted for in those run fits. But it's gonna be interesting. Yeah, so first play against UTSA was a play action 10-yard completion. I thought that was a bubble screen too to Isaiah Bond or somebody. I don't know. Or quick or some sort of quick action. And the reasoning for that, he likes to get his quarterback, it's like kind of seeing the ball go in, right? Getting dialing up a play for your best player right off the bat in their favorite spots. And a lot of guys, coming off a curl to the elbow, boom, getting a quick, easy, seeing the ball go in, right? FT, if we have to do any type of 18 wheeler package or anything in the red zone this year, that would be concerning to me, in my opinion. If we have to, I'm not saying it's off the table, but if we have to do stuff like that, if we can't, yeah, Lacey's not 18. No, he's not. He's too small. Honestly, it would have to be somebody that's not, it would have to be like a Michael Terry. You would do something like that with Michael Terry this year. I don't see any of the, they're not, even Trey Owens, like they're not that type of quarterback. It would have to be somebody like Michael Terry would be the candidate for if they were to start doing stuff like that. But my thing is, if you're having to do that out of need, that's a concern. Now, if that's just another part of your offense, um, and that's just something you have, and it's not out of necessity. It's more out of just certain looks or an opportunity to run it when you can, but you don't have to. I'm good with that. I'm good with that. Anyway, this has been another good Sunday service afternoon. I got to get to it with some other plans I have today. But I went and visited my cousin's church today, so wanted to get on here and talk some ball with you guys after we got back from the service and having some lunch. So it's been a very good chat, and I'm just really really excited for this pass rush for this season for what these guys, who will be a part of these NASCAR packages, who's gonna be the person that's just eating opposite of Colin Simmons or the multiple guys that we'll have out there, especially what that rotation will look like come the start of SEC play. I can't wait. Guys, remember to hit that like button, subscribe the whole bit. All my ladies out there, all my guys out there, I'm just really thankful you guys are here rocking with us. We're trying to get to 15,000 subscribers by August 30th. Texas versus Ohio State. Help us get there. It's free to show love. Anything you can do to support, share with a friend or in a group, help get the word out there. Love talking ball with y'all. We'll be back Tuesday night with a guest. I'm still looking to confirm, make sure that person is good to go. But we will be back Tuesday night with a guest as we always do at the start of the week. But remember, horns always up. Hook 'em.